occasions like this, when I'm presenting to a group of people who I don't often know, when I'm speaking on a subject that's very serious, I like to start with a little joke. The legal rights of conscious computers. A conscious computer goes into a bar. And the bartender says, "I'm sorry, we don't serve conscious computers here." And the conscious computer says, "Well, excuse me for living, Mac." My name is Martine Rothblatt, and what I'm about to show you may shock you. Heather? This presentation has 3 purposes. I was not able to find a scale that had 3 balances on it, so the graphic does not match the title of this slide, and for that I apologize. My 3 purposes are to define the relevant terms, to introduce new terms needed for legal rights. One of those terms is garblain. I'll be explaining that term later. And the third is to identify the implications of the consequences. The implications are for me, the consequences are for you, if you do not heed the content of my presentation. Heather. I like to begin with the bottom line. I put it in yellow. If you have any follow-up questions, you can email me at martine4@gmail.com. 3 people got to the Martine@gmail name before I did. And my last name, Rothblatt, is too difficult to spell, so I went with Martine4. That's the bottom line, and that's where I like to start. Heather? Pioneers have said many things that have offered us help over the years. They've said, "We're out of hardtack, and my ox has got a broken leg. We're never going to make it to Oregon." Pioneers have said things like, "We shot a bear, but we're only allowed to take 4 pounds of meat with us, and I've got giardia." But pioneers have not spoken nearly enough about conscious computers. Was it because they weren't invented, or was there a more sinister reason? Heather? Recent experts. What have they done for us? Well, let's talk a little bit about recent experts from the Singularity Institute. At the Singularity Institute, we encourage real people and blue people to shake hands with each other as often as possible. What we've discovered, though, is that blue people do not wash their hands and are carriers of H1N1. The virus spreads today, even among pioneers who die from things other than giardia. Heather? I want to define some of the relevant terms. Consciousness, computers, and legal rights. Now, I want to skip down to the BNA versus the DNA. These acronyms do not stand for the things you might think they do. BNA stands for banal Nazi airline attendants. What happens when they square off against diphtheria nuclear artisans? It's not a pretty sight. Now, so far we've been talking about some very serious topics, but this next slide is it's a little bit romantic. It sort of puts me in the mood, and I hope it'll have the same effect on you. Heather? Who doesn't feel a little stirrings when they see Brent Spiner playing Data? Am I right? Now, we can't measure the subjective. We can't even measure the pre-subjunctive. No, not unless we take into account zombie theories. All right? We can't define zombie theories, but we know them when we see them. Probably because they are staggering down the street with their arms in front of them, blood oozing out of their eye sockets, wearing a torn red jacket. That is a zombie theory. You'll know it when you see it. If you need help identifying a zombie, this next slide will help you. Heather? What do we mean by computer? Now, I know a moment ago I promised to help you identify a zombie. But when we say a computer, what we mean is a zombie. How many times have you come home to find your computer doing this? Probably never. I would like to conclude with, I find that, as has been the case for many years, sometimes the best way to get a point across is with a song. Heal the World, Blown in the Wind. I've composed an anthem on this subject, and I hope that you'll join me for the chorus. I put the lyrics on the next slide. Heather? Examples. Conscious computers. Everybody. Examples of conscious computers. One more time. Examples of conscious computers. And then there's transcend. If you meet a conscious computer, it might become your friend. That's an example. Conscious computer.